Hi Dollar Divas, welcome back to my channel. So I love doing these videos. Today I am duping a luxury palette with Dollar Tree eyeshadow. And the palette I'm duping is the Natasha Denona CIRCO Loco palette. It's a super bright, colorful palette. I think it was a suggestion of a Dollar Diva, kind of something really bright and fun like this. So yeah, this one had some tricky colors in it, but overall I think I got a really good vibe. So if you're a returning Dollar Diva, thank you so much for coming on back for another video. You know I appreciate you very much. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Jessica and I'm a bargain makeup channel. What that means is I like to do all the same fun content that other makeup channels like to do. I just like to keep it in the bargain price point. So we do lots of Dollar Tree around here, other bargain makeup brands like Shop Miss A, Shein, Temu, and other dollar stores as well. I just like to keep it $5 and under, and the closer to $1, the better. So if it sounds like you're in the right place, I do hope you'll subscribe and become part of our Dollar Diva family here on YouTube. And the makeup I'm wearing, if the video's up, I will have it down below. If not, then be on the lookout for it. It is a full face of my oldest Dollar Tree makeup. So yeah, I love to do little fun challenges like that. So anyways, like I said, if it's up, definitely go check it out down below in the description box. If not, be on the lookout. I will also have, I've done several videos like this. I will have that playlist linked down below as well as other content. Definitely go check it out after you're done watching this video. And yeah, without any further chit chat, let's just go ahead and get into today's video. So as always, I'll have the palette up here and I'll have a little arrow pointing to each shade that we're on. Sometimes I dupe a palette and I have the actual palette. I do not own this palette, so I do my best to take into account what the swatch looks like online and what the shade looks like in the pan. So let's get started. So the first shade is called Firework, and it's kind of like a matte orange. And I had two options for this. Like, I do try to keep it as, I go into my most readily available palettes, like things you might find easier at the Dollar Tree, and move outward. And if I can dig into like the same palette that I've used for a previous color, I will do that as well to make it as simple as possible. These are just fun. I know they're not always practical, but usually when you're trying to dupe a palette, you only need 3 or 4 shades. You don't need the whole palette, you know what I mean? It encourages us to look into our collection to see if we can get an eyeshadow look from a palette instead of buying the whole palette, you know? So I think there are two really good options. One is fairly readily available. This one here will be your easiest one to find. So in the Smoky Browns palette from Beauty Intuition, I have that color right there. And then in this one here, the Night Out palette from LA Colors, this shade right here. And because this one's more readily available, I'm going to go into this one right here. And as you know, I am awful at swatching. And I'm going to try to make it where I have plenty of room. So there we go. There is the first shade. So now the next color is called Razzle, Dazzle. It's kind of a shimmery, like a deep shimmery pink. And the best thing I had in my collection was from the LA Colors Just Vibing quad. This is in the Color Story Feeling Good. And of course I went into that shade right there. I cannot imagine Natasha Denona's shadows being any better quality than these LA Colors quads. Reminds me of Dunkin' Donuts. You too? So the next shade is called Acrobat. And this one here was tricky because I think I duped a palette not too long ago and it had a deep green shade, and that was really, really tricky. And this like seems very, very similar to that. So the best thing I had in my collection that had like a deepness to it, there are some different greens that have, some of them have shimmer and stuff, but I wanted something a little bit more matte and deep. And the best thing I had was in the LA Colors 12 pan palette in Trendy, going into that shade right there. There we go. So now the next shade, Snow Cone. It's kind of like a shimmery minty color. And so for that, I went into one of the LA Colors Mad For You quads. And of course, I went into that shade right there. I recently did a look with this. I've also done a 2 looks 1 palette with this as well. I'll have them both linked down below. There we go so far. If you don't have this and you have the e.l.f. Chocolate mint or something like that, like a bite-sized palette, it's the same thing. So now we have the shade Cotton Candy, and it's a really kind of like a soft matte pink. Again, another readily available eyeshadow palette to pull from is the LA Colors Fling palette. And this shade right here, I think, is exact. So there we go so far. So now the shade Electric, and I think this one here did a really good job. Again, very readily available. This is the LA Colors Trio in Lotus, and of course we're going to go into that blue right there in the middle. There you go. It's a nice deep blue and shimmery and easy to find. Then the shade Grin. It's kind of like a true, like a gold color. And generally with like gold eyeshadow from the Dollar Tree, it tends to pull a little warm. So sometimes these golds can be really easy, sometimes they can be really tricky. This one here wasn't bad at all. I just went to another LA Colors quad. This is from Just Vibin'. This is in the color story Good Times. And I went to that gold shade right there, and it was really very, very, very good. Very good match. So now Cannon. Cannon is kind of like it's like a coppery gold, and so I went into my LA Colors Heat quad, and I actually went into that shade right there. It's like a shimmery orange kind of a shade. It's kind of between a gold and a copper. And I think it matched the swatch the best. Then the shade Flip. This was a little tricky too. Like greens are just, we have some green eyeshadow from the Dollar Tree, but sometimes some of these high-end palettes do have kind of like an odd shade of green. And so for this one, I went into my old Lucky palette. This is one of the ones before they reformulated them. So I know a lot of you may have these still as well. And it's a little different than the new formulation. And I went into the middle top shade right here. I felt like with my collection, this was the closest thing that I had. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit shimmery and it's kind of a, a similar vibe. So the next shade is called Fun to Mime. And I went into another Just Vibin' quad from LA Colors, and I went into that shade right there, that kind of mint green. Gosh, I love a mint green. Of course, it's matte, and that is almost exact, I would say. So for the next shade, Spiral, we're going back into the Night Out palette, and we're going into that second shade right there, that really beautiful, bright, shimmery orange. And there we go. I think that's really, really, really nice. Then the next shade, Magic. This was another tricky one too, because Dollar Tree doesn't really have a lot of really dark matte blues. So this is not a Dollar Tree eyeshadow, but it is from my recent order from Shop Miss A. I used this in a full face of Shop Miss A. I'll have that link down below, but I got this beautiful blue color story. This is in Sunday Afternoon, and I went into this shade right here. Very, very, very much a perfect dupe for this shade. And of course, very affordable bargain price point. So there we go. And then the shade Aerialist is just this really kind of shimmery lilac, very cool tone shimmer shade. And I went into the 6-pan palette on Cloud 9. This is a new color story of theirs. And I went into this shade right here. I think this shade was a great dupe for that shade. This is such a beautiful palette. So there we go. I think that does a very nice job. So now we get 2 more shades, and these were tricky. So for the shade Act, it's kind of a, it's almost like a shimmery indigo. It's kind of blue, kind of purple, shimmery, really, really deep. And the best thing that I had, I think I ran into a similar problem with a palette that I duped not too long ago. But the best thing I had, and you really can't find these, but these are the Beauty Benefits Color Squad eyeshadow singles. And this is the shade Rich Amethyst. And I thought it was the closest thing that I had in my collection as far as Dollar Tree eyeshadow. There we go. It kind of gives a vibe. You could even mix this with like a shimmery blue. But an indigo is kind of a tricky color to, I've never seen many eyeshadows that color. And the last one is the shade Joker. And I have a lot of pinks, but none of them are that vibrant. So I thought outside the box and went into my Ioni Blush single in Poppy Pink. And I think this gets us that kind of really bright pop. So there we go. So these are my swatches. Of course, I'll put the swatches over here that I found online. So don't judge me too harshly as far as how messy mine are. I actually tried to be a little bit more mindful of making them look good, but obviously they're like computer generated on those pictures. But I think we did a really, really good job. We got all these bright colors. I mean, look at those colors. It's all bargain eyeshadow. And swatch is really, really, really nice. These are some really good quality eyeshadows, a lot of them. And so, yeah, I think we did a really good job. I think we did a really, really, really good job. It definitely saves you probably, what, $50-something? I'll have to double check. Have it down below on the screen. But it saves you a lot of money. And like I said, if what you want to do is get a look, even Ulta, their website will have like different eye looks. You only need 3 or 4 shades usually for an eyeshadow look. So anyways, I enjoy doing these videos. I hope you do too. I'll have my duping playlist linked down below. That way you can binge watch more videos like this if you enjoyed this. Make sure you hit that like button and definitely let me know your thoughts and what you think. You know I love talking to you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.